Well, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System. Today is the 12th day of January, right? January 12th, 2018. It's a rainy Friday. Do be careful out there driving. Still have a chance to see some strong winds later on this morning as well. So just be aware of that for potential out there this morning. I'm your host, Colin Worthington, the handsome gentleman sitting across from me this morning, as you see on Facebook Live. The News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook Live page is Tim Grizzard. He is city manager for the city of Carrollton. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And do appreciate you braving the weather to come out here this morning. And today I was hoping maybe we kind of just put an end to 2017, kind of review that and look forward to 2018, and then kind of dig up some topics that we talked a lot about in 2017 as well. First of all, when you look back at 2017, what kind of year was that? I mean, maybe compared to 2016, what were the things that jumped out to you in 2017 as far as the city?
You know, just continued with a lot of success. I'm very proud of this city, and I'm proud of the way it's managed, the way the department heads handle their departments. You know, I just can go on and on about how well things are run in this town. Our police department is amazing. Our fire department is ISO 1 rated. I had a meeting with our auditors the other day, and they are constantly surprised at how well our enterprise funds work. We make money on our sanitation fund, on our garbage, and cities just don't do that. And we make so much money on our sanitation that's how we pave our roads. That's what we pay for that with. And yet our sanitation rates are less than those of our neighboring cities. We make money on our water and sewer fund, and our water rates are less than the neighboring systems. And so we're very blessed, and that's just good management. People watching every nickel every day.
So I imagine, not to crack on Villa Rica, but right now they're going through that where, they did the audit and realized that they're actually taking money out from other places to pay for that. So, I mean, that is something good to point out, too, that is happening in other cities.
Yeah, and I tell you, Villa Rica's got a great mayor. He's a good friend of mine, and I think he's doing a great job. And I can tell he's getting his arm around those situations, and I'm sure he'll pull it out and be in great shape in the very near future.
Tim Grizzard, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Have questions or comments, feel free to call us at 678-601-8255. That is 678-601-TALK. Or you can post a question up on the Facebook page this morning, and hopefully somebody will let me know that it's up there, and we'll try and pass that along to Tim. I won't say it's the biggest issue going on in Carrollton, but one that I think a lot of people are aware of in Carrollton is that road work.
Right.
Below the square. What's the latest on that?
Well, we got caught by the weather. We had hoped to be done by the end of November or mid-December. You need warm weather to pave, and normally December is warm enough to pave in this area. And we just got caught by the rain and a snowstorm and some cold weather, and so we need 2 weeks of 50 degrees or higher, and we can wrap that thing up. But it's going to be great when it's done.
Yeah, we're not going to get that weather this weekend.
Probably
either.
not. So.
Right, it's going to be down to 20, but I think next week it might warm up a little bit. I mean, do you guys have to know the 2 weeks ahead, or can you do 1 week at a time?
It's about 5 days of paving. The main thing is just the asphalt plants won't run. They watch that weather close, and they won't run if they can't produce a product that's going to stick and something they can be assured will work and last. So again, we just need to catch a break in the weather.
And again, when that was put together, why was that road work done?
We had a lot of different traffic studies over the years of the downtown area, and actually 3 different companies looked at it. Trying to make sure we had the right answer. But they all came back and said that intersection, that light at Alabama and Maple right near Presbyterian, was the worst functioning intersection in the city. The light itself is too close to the light at the crosswalk, and then there's another light right in the center of the square. And it's just one of those things where, people, the layman might have had an opinion on how to configure that, and it wasn't something that was designed by traffic engineers. So that light had to go. And this takes that light out of play, and I think you're going to see it work very well when it's finished.
How have the businesses along that road, how have they communicated to you about, because it does kind of block off some traffic a little bit, and maybe people want to avoid that area?
Well, I know I know that they want to see it done, and we want to see it done. And again, if we had the right weather, it would be complete, and it will be. I'm getting to be an old man. I've been in construction my whole life, and it's always painful while the construction's going on. The main thing we want to do is make sure we do it right. When I was a young man, an old engineer told me, he said, Tim, people don't remember how long it took or what it cost, but they sure remember if you didn't do it right. And so we try to do things right. You may remember all the work under Noonan Street and how long that took, but we redid all the utilities under that street so that we wouldn't be cutting that road up later. And it took the better part of a year to do that project, but it worked so very well. And part of that was redoing all the water lines under that street, and we boosted the fire flow at the courthouse from 225 gallons a minute to 1,100 gallons a minute. So all I can say is there's no regrets for doing that project and doing it right. And these things take time, and I wish we could do them faster, but an old saying, it is what it is.
Sticking with the roads, you had mentioned something at the city council meeting this past Monday. How many people do you get? How many residents do you get that reach out to you, to city council, about traffic calming devices? I mean, there's a gentleman who posted on our Facebook several times over the year, and I know you talked to Rory about it as well. I mean, he's really the first person I've heard really frustrated about it and looking for that because people kind of speed through their neighborhood. But do you get a lot of comments?
It's all the time, and the council get comments, and what we have to be careful of is traffic, and it's analogous to stormwater. The solution is not intuitively obvious, and if we choke the flow at one point, it's going to spew to the next road. So we have to look at it, the synergistic effects of it all. Again, I think historically in a lot of towns, not just Carrollton, people would just jump out and do whatever someone asked for. And that doesn't always work, and so we just got to be careful. So there actually is a written policy that we found, and we're going to follow that. We're going to make sure we get a traffic engineer to study anything that we do. Burkdale was a problem for years with speeding, and that was designed and built way before I came or any of the folks that work here now came. But if we were to do that subdivision today, first off, we wouldn't let that street go straight through like that because it's going to be a racetrack when you do that. But and I don't know if you've been out there, but we put what's called chicanes. It's basically thin islands in the center of the street, and it narrows the lanes, and people slow down, and it worked very well. So we try to, when we solve a problem, it may not happen as quickly as people would like, but we try to do it right, and that's been a big success out there.
I think about the calming devices, when you think about like the humps and things like that, right. Is there a concern for like public safety going down those roads? Is that one of the big issues?
Yeah, we really don't. We don't like speed humps at all, and it's not to say that they won't be used somewhere, but we don't like them because the fire trucks have to go over them. And then, frankly, the people who live on the street hate them. They think they're going to want them, but when they get them, they wish they didn't have them. And they're very expensive. You may think of a speed bump's $100, but they're probably $3,000. So it's not a small thing to throw out there and then have to pull back up. Even the electronic speed limit signs that everybody seems to love, they only work for about 2 weeks. They work while they're new, while it's a novelty, then people get used to them and they speed anyway. There's also, and this is what we see consistently, there's the perception that people are speeding, but when you do the traffic counts, many times it's not as bad as people perceive.
Is the concern also that when you do fix one road, that it's just going to make people, after a while, they'll realize, okay, that road's got the device, whatever, so I won't go down that one, I'll take the other one.
That's right.
And that just pushes it out.
Right.
That's kind of
it
the
does.
City Manager Tim Grizzard, City Manager for the City of Carrollton, our guest on this morning's WLBB Community Voice program. It's now 8:39. Questions and comments this morning, 678-601-8255, 678-601-TALK, or you can post your question and comment to the Facebook page, and we'll try and shout that out and pass that along to Tim. We'll take our first break right now and come back and continue our conversation this morning. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program. Our show, as always, brought to you by our friends at Tanner Health System. Good morning to those of you watching us on Facebook Live this morning, and of course listening to us on News Talk 1330 and FM 106.3. My guest this morning, Carrollton City Manager Tim Grizzard, just going over some things from last year and kind of recapping some ongoing situations, if we can even use that phrase. Maybe this is a situation. The noise issue that Gerald Bird has brought about post-1 representative city council seat. Gerald Bird, apparently it's been going on for about a year. Some people in his neighborhood complaining about some noise going on late hours.
Right.
And Gerald, at one point, told me that he has recorded, this going on. The accusation was made against it that it was Southwire causing that. And Southwire's like, look, it's not us. We because they believe at certain times when the noise was heard that their machines were off. Any good explanation about this noise?
Well, it's one of those frustrating problems that goes on. And if we could identify the offending piece of machinery, we would have mitigated this sound. We hired on 2 different occasions an outside acoustic consultant from Vermont who does this sort of thing, for a living. They put monitors in the yards of the homes and on every industry in the industrial park. And they did 24-hour-a-day, 7-day studies. This was, again, on 2 different occasions to try to identify which noise it is that these particular residents are hearing. And the problem is there's, I think, 9 industries out there, and they all use similar machinery. They all have cooling towers and chillers and vacuum unloading systems. And so, and realize a lot of those industries have been there for decades, and a lot of those residents have been there for a long time. But we started getting this complaint about a year and a half ago, and so we're trying to figure out what's changed and exactly what's causing this issue for these folks. And again, we hadn't been able to identify it. Then I know also that Southwire hired some consultants, and Southwire's name keeps being thrown into this thing. Southwire is only guilty of stepping up to the plate and trying to solve it. Their name keeps coming up, but it does not mean it's their noise. And so they put a lot of effort in making sure they're not contributing to this problem and that they're not the culprit. Then also the Development Authority, Daniel Jackson, brought in some folks from Georgia Tech. So there have been at least 4 studies to try to identify this particular problem. So it's very frustrating that we have yet to do that. So we're still hopeful to do that, but frankly, at this point, I don't have an answer for you.
What is that zoned for? I mean, I'm assuming it's industrial where these businesses
Right.
are, but how close are those houses, those residential?
They're pretty close. Now, there's a large tree buffer but between them and the industrial park, but they're zoned residential. And again, this is something that was this is a good reason to not zone residential homes adjacent to the industrial park, because this kind of thing can happen. In an industrial park, you're going to have noise, you're going to have odor, you're going to have, traffic, heavy truck traffic. And so, again, it's something we're working on, but frankly, I don't have an answer for you at this point. And I've said over and over, if we knew which piece of machinery was causing this problem, we would be all over that with a solution, sound barriers or whatever. I know that Southwire even changed the rotation speed of some of their rotating equipment to make sure it wasn't a frequency that would be annoying like this. So again, I don't have an answer for you, and I wish I did.
How many more businesses could fit in the industrial park for Carrollton?
I looked yesterday because there was someone inquiring about building apartments over there, and it was in industrial property. So, I don't know that I could give you a number because every industry is a different size. But there are more properties over there that can be used. There's more property zoned industrial that could be used. So I would say several sites. I realize that's not a hard number, but these and some of the existing industries are expanding. OFS is expanding right now.
Would you ever consider dropping an industrial zoning for an apartment like that? People are curious.
I would hope not. Yeah. Because industrial land is hard to come by. Industry is great for the area because it creates jobs and it has very little demand on public safety. You don't run police out to an industry. You don't run, you could run a fire truck, but it's just rare that you have to do any service to an industry, and yet they bring all these jobs and bring all this money into the area. So financially, that's, in my opinion, it's not a smart move. But that's not my call. Ultimately, that's going to be the decision for the mayor and council.
Talk about those apartments. What is our housing situation in Carrollton? How do you feel like do we have enough low-income housing, or do we have too much low-income housing? Do we have apartments?
What we're seeing a demand for now is senior housing, housing for people over 55. There's a development going on out at Cottage Hill Road, and they're grading and they're moving forward. And I think they'll be actually building homes in the summer. But we get a lot of calls from people who want to know how to get in touch with those folks. They want that kind of product and they want to build there. And then there's a lot of talk. The mayor and council just approved a development up 113 that is. It's senior housing. It reminds me a little more of it's kind of housing where there'd be an attendant and where their apartment's actually open to the inside and they have community rooms and that sort of thing. So it's I would say it's the step further toward a retirement home, that kind of housing.
It's got single and double rooms, right?
Yep,
It's got rooms for
right,
couples.
right.
As well, what's the time frame on that? I thought Walt at the meeting said there's like a 2-year waiting list. Already.
I keep hearing there's a year waiting list out at Park Place. That was a very successful development and a very well built development. It's brick and kind of high end amenities inside. Granite countertops and that sort of thing. I'm told, but that's been a very good product. And again, I'm always looking at the bottom line and what's costing the city and what's bringing in money for the city. And again, we don't run police to that development. We don't run. I mean, you might run an ambulance every now and then, but we don't. We're not in the ambulance business. That's a private service here in town. So, that's been a good product. That's been a good development for the city right there.
Are there any subdivisions that were abandoned maybe in the late, in the last 10 years that could still be filled?
They are being filled.
Yeah.
I think it's called Grand Point out near Moat Road. That one's just filling as hard as it can go, and all of the infill lots are going. So. In what I see now, and again, I'm 58 years old, so I've seen a few cycles of this housing. I remember the crash of the early 70s even, but I see a healthier growth now. It was just almost a, the building in the 90s and early 2000s. It was almost a false economy. It was a bubble, and the bubble popped. And so there's a lot of growth now, but it's a slower pace. It's the kind of growth we want. It's a healthier economy. So I really think we're where we need to be. I think we stopped, we didn't want to be inundated with apartments because they really don't pay their way as far as their share of taxes. And we wanted single-family homes, and we wanted them to be above a certain price point, and that's happened. So I think we were a little bit imbalanced toward the low end, and I think we're getting our balance back. You want a mix. You need all kinds of housing. You don't want all high end, and you don't want all low end. You need a mix.
Carrollton City Manager Tim Grizzard, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Last question before we go to our final break. You guys started a Bankhead Revitalization Committee of some sort last year. Individuals from all different walks of life and professions and things. Where is that right now?
Well, it's there's a corridor overlay plan to determine what kind of growth will go in that area, and that went to planning and zoning this week and was approved. It'll go to the mayor and council in the February meeting. We've got an estimate on what it would take to do the first part of the streetscape. And it's something we can afford. We can't do that kind of thing every year, but we can afford it. And if the council decides to fund that, we really think that it will make that area a desirable place to go. Bankhead is an anomaly to me because it's not like it's a bad area or a high crime area. It is not. It's a good area, and there's good established housing out there. But for whatever reason, the growth is not going there, and the commercial has moved out of that area and it's gone south of town. So we'd really like to see it pick back up.
So when you talk to people about, talk to businesses, potential businesses about setting up a Bankhead, they're not giving you a good reason why they, went away from it instead?
No, I've not heard a good reason at all. Huh. But you see things. I mean, I saw Wendy's close out there. Why did that happen? Saw McDonald's move. Why did that happen? Because again, it's not like it's a bad area. It's not like it's a dangerous area. It's not. It's a great area. And you got Lake, and so there's a lot of good things there. But we just want to try to bring that back. We want to try to, the way we've invested in downtown, we want to let that grow out of town a bit and hopefully make those areas boom the way the downtown has.
The Bankhead revitalization, you can bring that proposal before council next month. Is that already budgeted for that, or is that something that's amendable?
It's something we presented to them along with a lot of there are always projects coming up. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And so we went through them all, and we put a price tag on them all, and we said, take a few months and think about this and decide what you want to do and what you want to prioritize. We will have our budget retreat at the end of February, and that's probably when we'll really hammer that out and see what they want to do.
Can't remember, is Carrollton a half-year or mid-year budget, or do they do it?
It's mid-year.
Is it? Okay.
June 30th is the end of the budget year.
So I guess anything like that would probably happen in July.
Right.
For that budget, okay. Tim Grizzard, again, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Like to call or give a comment, 678-601-8255, 678-601-TALK, or post something on Facebook, and we'll try and pass it along to Tim this morning. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama. Because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
All right, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System. Thanks for listening on 106.3 FM, News Talk 1330 AM, and watching us this morning on Facebook Live. Our guest is Carrollton City Manager Tim Grizzard. Talked a little bit about budgets before the break. Is there anything that Carrollton needs at this point? I mean, is there something that you guys have your eyes on that maybe Carrollton's lacking in? I mean, I think overall a lot of people are happy living in this community, just far enough away from I-20. Plenty of amenities, get parks and the AMP and things like that, entertainment. Is there something that Carrollton actually needs?
Well, I really think that the goals that we have and the projects we want to do are within our reach, and we can't do them all this year, but we will do them in the near future. We want more greenbelt spurs. We want to do some things in downtown. We need more parking in downtown. I am amazed that on a Thursday afternoon, the City Hall parking lot's full because everybody's on the square eating, a late lunch or an early supper. Christmas time, the downtown is packed, and so, those are good problems to have, and they're problems we got the money to deal with. And again, we can't do them all this year, but we will get them done. We plan our work, and we work our plan, we get them done. I'm very thankful for that. And again, our millage, our taxes are the lowest in the area. Our water and sewer rates are the lowest in the area. Our sanitation rates are the lowest in the area. And yet our financial health is excellent, and that's because we watch every penny. I mean, we really do, and I'm very proud of that. These department heads are good. Mike Green runs that Public Works Department, and that's why we make money on sanitation, is he's on top of that. And Becky Roberts and Tony Richardson and Connie Nelms and Danny Dyer, they run the water and sewer system, and that's why we make money on water. And then Tommy Holland does a lot of our design in-house for our projects, and we probably do construction projects, utility projects for less than half other cities do. So it's management, and I'm very thankful for that. They do a great job. And I don't mean to leave out other people. I can go on and on. I am stunned at our police department, how good it is. I am reminded of a crime that happened that involved Atlanta and a kidnapping, and because of relationships that our police had built with the Secret Service, they were able to ping an individual's phone in a matter of just an hour and find the suspect and get someone back to safety. That wouldn't have happened just anywhere, and that's because of preparation and planning and training and relationships they built over the decades. So I'm very proud of them. I can just think of one crime after another that Captain J.J. Cole said to me about one. He said, we threw the kitchen sink at it. And that's what they do, man. They go, so these things will happen, and they go at it. They throw everything they've got at it, and they solve it. And they're so good, that we almost take it for granted. We expect that. There'll be an incident going on. I'll get a call. It'll be maybe 30 minutes or an hour into it, and people wonder why they hadn't caught them yet. And they are so good. That's the expectation on them. The fire department's ISO 1 rated fire department. Jimmy Bearden has spent his life in the fire service, and our fire department shows that, and he knows it like the back of his hand. And he is so good at what he does, and we're very blessed with that. So I can just go on and on ranting about how good these folks are.
Let's not forget the Parks and Recs department. It's nationally recognized, right?
Absolutely, great, and people enjoy it and hear a lot of good things about it, and so we're thankful for all of that.
Go back to the fire department. There was some initiatives presented this last year too. How are those working out?
We're moving forward on all of them. One of the things was one of those big industrial washing machines and dryers for washing their turnout gear that was just installed. We did the air quality study and are adding ventilation to the Central Church Road Fire Station. We're picking out property to move that fire station. That's a kind of a traffic nightmare right there, and we really want the station to be on Highway 27. And so the plan is to buy the property now, but in the next SPLOST to actually build the station. We had the station out on Columbia Drive that got hit by a tornado, and we're building it back right at the entrance to the college. That's underway right now. So, great department. I could go on and on.
How many times have you watched that video?
Several.
Still, yeah, I think we ended up on our Facebook, but yeah, you tend to go back and see that again. Will that affect? Moving that fire station, will that affect anybody's insurance at all?
No, that's part of the plan to make sure that it doesn't. We still got the same coverage, the same response time, and so and it'll be safer getting trucks in and out of there. The old lot was not great, and I'm not criticizing that they built it there. I've been in this area a long time. I remember when there weren't fire stations everywhere. I remember when they first started doing volunteer stations in the early 70s. So that station that was out there on Columbia, and that station that was at Central Church, they were great things for the time, but the times have outgrown them. And so, and again, we're getting better and better. We plan our work, and we build better, and we buy the right equipment. We try not to waste money, but we try to get them what they need.
We got about 3 minutes left in the program. We're talking about not wasting money. Carrollton has $20 million in reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good
amazing
backup there.
Right.
Sure. Is there a rule, like I think for the county there is, and maybe it's the same for the cities? It's like 10% or 25% of what your budget is to save?
We don't have to carry that. We try to. I came here to run the utilities, and we try to carry at least $3 million in the water fund. Mm-hmm. And there's some logical reasons behind that, and we have a lot more than that there. That's one of those things. As we decide to do projects, we're going to spend down on that, and then we're going to put it back. We've got a lot of utility projects planned. We've got a settling pond that we're going to build behind Ingalls, and it's actually across the river from the water plant, but that will give us 21 more days of storage. It'll also give us pre-settling on the raw water and save us on chemicals and electricity. So that's something you'll see built in the next few years. And again, it's just, you won't always see a reserve that high, but it's just an indication of how very healthy we are financially.
When was the last time a business approached you about bottling Carrollton's water?
That comes up, and you don't want to be in the water bottling business, because the issue's not the water and the bottle, it's the distribution. And so people like Coca-Cola need to sell bottled water, not us. It's just not something we can do. It's a great theory because we have great water, but a private company would need to do that.
And that's what I thought. I thought it was a private company.
There was Niagara came in the area and talked, but they didn't follow through, and they went somewhere else.
You want to give a shout out to your staff this morning, the fine ladies back in your office?
Oh gosh, Libby Duke and Erica Studdard and Lacey, and I don't want to forget anybody. Everybody there just does a great job, and they keep me out of trouble. And I'm thankful for that. They tell me where I'm supposed to go next and what tie to wear. So,
not to wear one this morning.
Correct.
I should have told you we'll be on Facebook Live. I'm sorry.
Right.
Next time. Tim Grizzard, thanks for coming out this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
And we do appreciate you listening to our program this morning and watching us on Facebook Live. Stay dry out there. Have a safe weekend. For the WLBB Community Voice program here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, I'm Colin Worthington.